14 of the fantasy basketball season, and here's a few centers that shouldn't be part of your roster right now, and you should drop. The first guy's Al Horford of the OKC Thunder. So Horford here, I thought he would have got traded at the NBA trade deadline, but that just hasn't been the case, and now the Thunder, they're going to sit him out for the rest of the season with 30 games left, which just doesn't make any sense to me. I would just buy this guy out and let him play somewhere else, but right now, the Thunder here, they just got no plan for Horford, and they should buy him out and eat that money. And right now, Horford, obviously, he's been dropped already in 20% of fantasy leagues, and on the season, he's ranked 58th, 14.2 points a game, 6.7 rebounds, 3.4 assists, 2 threes a game, which is surprising, 81% from the foul line and 45% from the field. So Horford, he was putting up pretty solid numbers and serviceable numbers for fantasy owners this season. But now OKC, they're just going to sit him out. And if this guy don't get bought out, he's going to sit at home and collect $20 million a year or more this season, which is out of control in my mind. But Al Horford right now, there's just no place for him on a fantasy roster. But obviously, if we hear in the next couple of days to a week that he gets bought out, then I would go out there and try to pick him back up. But obviously, if he gets bought out, he'll go to a contender, probably like a Brooklyn Nets, a Milwaukee Buck type of team, maybe the Lakers, even though they just got Drummond, a team like that could use some center help. But Al Horford right now, while he's just going to be sitting at home and collecting a check from the Thunder and not bought out, he's a player easily droppable in my mind at the center position. The next player is Mitchell Robinson of the New York Knicks. Mitchell Robinson, he most likely will be out for the rest of the regular season here for the New York Knicks after fracturing his foot the other night in a ball game. And obviously that didn't even look that bad, that fall from Robinson, but he's been fragile. We saw early in the season him break his hand on a play that didn't look that crazy. And now with the broken foot, he just fell to the floor and it went on him. So he's probably out the regular season and even the playoffs if the Knicks get in, which right now they're lined up to getting in on the season. Though it was a good year for Robinson in terms of all-around play. He was ranked 119, 8.3 points a game, 8.1 rebounds, 1.1 steals, and his specialties blocking shots at 1.5 a game. And he really helped out with the 65% field goal percentage. So Robinson, it's a pretty decent hit to fantasy owners who are definitely low at the center position and in the block category and field goal, which he definitely helped. So right now, owners, they're obviously not going to wait and see on him. He's been dropped in 18% of fantasy leagues, and in my opinion, he should be dropped even in more. I know there's a lot of injured list spots in most fantasy leagues, but right now I don't think Robinson's coming back, and even if he does, his numbers weren't that impactful where he's a guy you must wait for. So I think he's droppable. And the third and final center I would drop this week is Daniel Tice, Chicago Bulls. So Daniel Tice, he's a new Chicago Bull. And it was surprising to me to see the Celtics trade him. He was playing pretty decent this season, in my opinion, for the Boston Celtics. But the Bulls here, they're trying to make a move for this year and obviously for the years to come, getting Nikola Vukovic and then trading for Daniel Tice here. And Tice on the season, he's ranked 139 in fantasy basketball, 9.4 points a game, 5.2 rebounds, 1.6 assists, a block a game, 67% from the foul line, and 55% from the field. So those are pretty solid numbers for Tice. But now he's not going to play major minutes anymore for the Chicago team. Obviously, they got Vukovic ahead of him over there in the starting lineup. So he's a guy that's going to come off the bench probably for 18 to 25 minute range. And he's just not going to produce those double-double type of games. He'll be more of a guy that'll come in, he'll get maybe a couple blocks here, a few rebounds, 6 to 8 points, and maybe a 3 or 2. But besides that, it's not much. So he's not going to give much fantasy value. And owners, they've already dropped him in 3% of fantasy leagues this week. So that's a few centers I will look to drop here in Week 14 of the fantasy basketball season.